Welcome back. Well, today we have on Tony Berrien of the Hearing Well Club. Great to have you here today.
Good to be here.
Yeah, and she wanted to remind me that you do not have any meetings coming up the next couple months.
July and August were dark.
Yes.
That's right. And we'll be turning the lights back on in September.
Okay. So one of the things you want to talk about today is the hearing loop.
Well, I want to talk about hearing accessibility in Laguna Woods Village.
Okay.
And what I'm going to talk about, some of what I'm going to talk about, it doesn't matter whether you have hearing aids or not.
Okay.
Okay, because there are some clubhouses that do not have a hearing loop, and there are some clubhouses that do. Now, just starting out, I want to say that 50% of people 75 and older have some level of hearing loss. We have a lot of hearing loss in Laguna Woods Village.
Right.
So even if people haven't addressed it, even if they haven't had their hearing tested, a lot of times they'll notice that they're not hearing as clearly.
Right.
They'll notice that they can hear, but they don't understand. So some of the words are distorted.
Yes. Yeah.
So the best thing to do when you're at a meeting in one of the clubhouses is to use an assistive listening device, or if that room has a hearing loop, to use the hearing loop. So let me just explain a little bit. So I have a list you can see. Yeah, this is available to download from my website.
Okay.
Hearingwellclub.com. And right at the top, so we have the boardroom is looped.
Right.
So I'll talk a little bit about a hearing loop in just a moment. Let's just, we have the PC Club, the education center where they give the classes.
Right.
That's looped.
Okay.
And let's see, Clubhouse 1, they actually, in the art room, they have a hearing loop. It's kind of a portable system. So you got to, it only works if they're using the audio system.
Okay.
And somebody's remembered to flip the switch. They have, in the main dining room, they have a radio frequency, also referred to as an FM system.
Okay.
And what you can do is you can go to the supervisor's office. You can borrow an assistive listening device.
Okay.
And this device is, you plug it in.
Okay. Hooks in
and
any standard headphones.
On-off and volume control. So it's anybody can that knows how to operate a radio. This is even simpler.
Okay.
And then you have headphones. But if you have telecoil equipped hearing aids, which is what you need for a hearing loop, you can use something called a neck loop. So in the absence of having a loop in the room, you have a personal loop. So you put this on, you plug it in instead of the headset. So nice because you don't mess up your hair. And also, it's least obvious than, you know. You know, I was sitting in church one day years ago using headphones, and somebody asked me if I was watching listening to the baseball game. That was embarrassing back then. So on, off, and that's how it works. And you turn on the telecoil program in your hearing aids. Okay. So two options for FM. So these devices are available in Clubhouse 1 in the main ballroom, Clubhouse 5 in the main room, and Clubhouse 6. Okay. So all the other clubhouses have something else. Clubhouse 3 has an FM infrared system, which is, for the user point of view, works pretty much just like the FM system. You borrow the device. It looks a little different from this. They have neck loops and they have headsets, just like the other locations. So, and you can use that in the theater. Okay. Now, can people buy these on their own and have them, just so if they're out and about somewhere else? Sure. Okay. There's, yeah, absolutely. They can contact me, and there's actually lots of places that you could get it. But there's it's online, and you can get catalogs for hearing assistive technology, and I can certainly help with that. So let's talk about the hearing loop, because the hearing loop does require in most circumstances, it requires that you have hearing aids, but you have to have a telecoil, which is just a little copper wire that is in the hearing aid. 80% of hearing aids have that copper wire.
Okay.
All they need to do is to have their hearing aid provider activate it, which is just, it's a computer programming. It's
Okay.
very, very easy. Go in, ask them to turn it on and show them, have the hearing aid provider show them how to turn it on and how to turn it off.
Okay.
And this is my favorite hearing assistive technologies, the hearing loop. Because for me, I'm fully equipped with telecoils in my aids. So I just go into a room, flip the switch, and I hear everything. Not only good, but it's going through my hearing aid prescription. So it's really fun.
Okay, yeah.
It's really good.
All right. Now, does that interfere with anything else that, some of the technology of the...
There's a couple of problems with the hearing loop right now. I'm going to try to work with the clubhouses to sort this out. And there's one issue with the hearing loop from the consumer level, is that when you're, most of the time when you're in T-coil mode, when you're in that program, you're not going to be able to hear the person next to you.
Okay, yeah.
So you're only hearing the person that's on the microphone.
Okay.
So the other issue is, for a lot of people, clubs have parties. I'm a member of the PC Club. I'm also the membership chair. And we have a couple of events every year.
Right.
And they hire a band or karaoke, and they bring their own everything
Right, they do.
equipment.
Yeah.
So that equipment is not hooked up to the loop that's in
Right.
the room.
Yeah.
That's disappointing. But I'm going to start working with Jennifer and Brian in the recreation department and see if we can't get ahead of that, at least for the recreation events. Because they have a wonderful program. They have all these things that recreation does. So, so if they're going to hire somebody or provide a company that brings all their own audio equipment, then that needs to be connected to the Laguna
Well, what
Woods.
about just using, the hearing aids or the more advanced ones without a hearing loop where you can hear everyone?
So there's, sometimes that works successfully, but generally the problem is it over-amplifies background noise. Even the best of them don't shut it down enough.
Okay.
And there's a loss of clarity. Hearing aids, 99% of the time, are only good for sound that's coming at you from 6 feet.
Okay.
Beyond that, the sound dissipates it. So you really, in order to hear everything sharply and clearly, an assistive device or a telecoil in the case of a hearing loop works best.
Okay.
And actually there's a national campaign for Get in the Hearing Loop that I'm part of, and I'm promoting hearing loops all over. So we have a lot of people who stopped going to church or synagogue, so they are now beginning to loop the sanctuaries. How wonderful.
Yeah.
So so people who have left worship services can come back because now they can hear.
Okay.
And but it shouldn't stop there. We should have hearing loops, counter loops, at pharmacies. So when you're consulting with your pharmacist, you can listen privately, and they don't have to yell at you, and you don't have to be concerned about people in the background. So there's a lot of places where a hearing loop can be adapted. So I'm big on hearing loops.
Okay.
If anybody's interested, they can go to hearingwellclub.com and look in the technology section for information on telecoils, hearing loops, FM systems. There's also something called a loop listener. I believe they have these in Clubhouse 7. The main room in Clubhouse 7 is looped. And so this you can use with a headset for in a loop for people who don't have hearing aids or don't have a telecoil.
Now, you mentioned that if you use it, then you can't hear the person.
Yeah.
Isn't there something they can do to be able to use both at once?
Actually, there is. But when I start talking about it, people roll their eyes and they give up, especially our people here. So there are 2 programs that your hearing aid provider can provide for you. One of them can be a 50-50 program,
Okay.
which is 50% telecoil and 50% local,
Okay.
mic. And then the other one is 100% telecoil. So depending on your tolerance, I do not like the 50-50 at all. But that's my personal preference.
Okay.
That might work. So on 50-50, you are going to hear the person next to you, and you're going to hear what's on the microphone. So, but I just like to hear it isolated. I just had a couple of weeks ago, I had all of my TVs. I have 3 TVs. And I had all those rooms permanently looped. I had temporary loops, and I've had them forever. But just a perimeter loop that I put down. Now I've got them down. Oh, I'm in heaven listening to my TV. I can walk all around the house and hear my TV.
Yeah.
On telecoil. I love it.
Very good.
So I'm really big on telecoil and hearing loops. And anybody that wants more information about that, check out my website. Come to a meeting. Our next meeting will be on September the 2nd Tuesday of the month.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good to see you. Have a good 4th.
Thank you for letting me talk about it.
All right. We'll be back.